Should we start? It's always different, but yeah, it depends on what I'm dealing with at that moment. Maybe tone or technique, just really, yeah. Okay. Really different.
Do you find that your brain goes much faster suddenly, that you're able to think of 20 things in each bar?
Yeah.
Or,
yeah. Mm-hmm.
Because that was a little bit what I'd like to work on today. There's so much of your playing that I really adore. You've got a great sound, and you offered us a range of articulations and dynamics. I found it, for my taste, I felt as if, like the microdynamics, the microphrasing, like within each bar, within each cell of music, was very nicely thought out. I wonder whether sometimes we need to feel a longer line.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And I think an easy way that we can consider is you do a lot of echoes when we have a sequence or repetition. You do a lot of echoes, and sometimes I think actually it would be much better for the line if you did a più forte. For example, when we're coming to a strong cadence, I don't recognize where everything is in this edition. For example, in this case, we're coming to the strong cadence. This is, anyone's looking at the music, towards the cadence in 1991. This is coming up to the biggest moment that we've had so far in the piece, maybe. So maybe, instead of doing that echo, like we're setting something up big and then we disappear, and then we go to something big again, maybe to build this, to do a più forte in this kind of instance. Of course, there are some places where an echo is perfect idea, but I just think in terms of the longer line, maybe sometimes a più forte would be more effective. There are a few places where I'm going to come to this middle section in a moment, but places like, where would be a good example of this? This, can you just play, because my singing is so bad, people don't recognize what is happening. Yeah, just from here, while I blow my nose. You see, there's a lot happening there, and I wonder, how can we simplify that?
Okay.
Where are we going to? Where is the most important point in those, let's say, those 3 bars? Could be the highest note. Remember yesterday I quoted Leopold Mozart saying that when a composer writes this small note, that's the important one. So although this is bar 57, the first note looks like it's a really small note, dia da da dum. Actually, this is the most important. We understand from the way it's notated. It's sort of the opposite of the way that we think nowadays. But if you think of the writing with a feather, you know, the smaller you had to write, the more complicated it was. So they're taking extra trouble. Mozart took extra trouble to write this as a small note to say to you, this is an important note. So maybe, given that the higher Ds will come out quite naturally, maybe in an audition context you can say, I don't always have to play loud when I'm playing higher. So maybe we could go to the appoggiatura at the beginning of 56. It's possible.
Yeah.
Shall we try it? So we're using this bar, using that first bar to go towards the first beat of 56. Then using the scale up to show I've got control over the top register, I don't have to play loud. And then you show us that the D is important.
Okay.
And the next bar, let's just do that without Halka. What shape is that bar? I don't understand. It sounds like a finger exercise. No, a very good one. but we need to understand where it's going. So I'm sure you know the direction you want to show us, but you need to do 3 times more for us to hear it.
Okay.
Yes. Now, do you see that? That creates a much clearer shape. So we're trying to avoid, we touched on it a little bit in the Prokofiev yesterday, like the Prokofiev Sonata first movement, this is all in 4, but we want to try and avoid at all costs having 4 beats in a bar and every bar sounding like a box. So look for places you can avoid giving an accent. So when you did this scale, you did an extra slur here. He wrote dia da 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 da. Da, 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 and you're putting dia da da dia da da di. Did you not? I thought you did.
Oh yeah, right.
I think so.
Okay. Yeah.
I wouldn't put money on it, but I think you put in an extra slur there. And what that does is it puts a mini little accent on that second beat.
Yeah.
And we're going to talk about second beats in a minute. But let's just have another go at that phrase one more time without piano. Can you just play me this part? How much diminuendo can we get to the... Okay, maybe that's now too much, but that idea I think can work. In bar 55, Mozart didn't write any articulation here. I like your articulation. Da ha ha da da ha da da ha. Can we exaggerate that a little bit more? Can you just play me this slow motion? Put it under a magnifying glass. Da ha da da ha da da. So even less sustained through the slur. Ya da da. Already the second note I'm singing a little softer than the first. Da 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 da. So exactly. So underneath what we hear, you don't have to do this because it's not from Mozart, but it's quite a nice idea. We get that rhythm coming out. Da. I'm exaggerating, but we're doing slowly, so when you do slowly, exaggerate the phrasing. One more time, slow. Okay, now in tempo. Okay, and without forgetting the direction through the whole bar. So that's the micro phrasing is good. Now we need to get the macro phrasing. Yeah, nice. Now just before that moment, yes, I would breathe after the listening A.
Okay.
Why? Because the A, you're just listening to the question that Halka gives, and then you answer it. and you connect the question to the answer, and then you breathe halfway through the answer. It doesn't really make sense. So, shall we do together from, no, let's just do small chunks. From 52, the upbeat. Do you have bar numbers? Yeah. B flats. Listen. Yes, nice. Good. So you see, then it's just a little bit more. I still feel this crescendo that goes through. It's like someone starts asking you a question and you don't listen to the end of it. So that's a listening note.
Okay.
The A. Listen. Yeah. It's quite a good rule when you're playing music with someone else to listen. Okay, good. Let's look at another place where we can maybe simplify the big line, and that's letter C, bar 103. Now, where is this going? 103.
Yeah, perhaps also to the small
We're getting a little theme going here. So let's do directly from maybe one bar before the piano. Okay, it's fine what you're doing. I think it needs to be more clear. Can you show me the skeleton? Just the most important notes, which is D, A, D, A, D, A, G, D. Okay, good. Now you showed us all those important notes. Can you just play me the skeleton notes on their own? Because we need to find the shape underneath that, because now every beat is becoming important. So what's the shape of that first bar?
The first one is more heavy than the second, so the D's would be more important.
So then the shape of the bar is diminuendo?
No, maybe crescendo.
You choose, please. You have to play the.
Yeah.
These you have to believe it.
Say crescendo.
Okay. Show me just the skeleton. Don't write it in yet. Yes. Okay, let's see how that works with everything. Directly your entry. Excellent. So that's a much stronger shape now that's happening underneath. So this is, I think, one of the reasons why Mozart is so difficult is we have to have all the micro phrasing well organized, but not at the expense of the long sentence. So every word has to be correctly emphasized, but we mustn't lose the meaning and the shape of the whole sentence. Yeah. Next phrase, 107. What shape are these long notes? Because at the moment they're kind of...
Yeah, I would say they go with the piano's phrasing.
Okay, so shall we do that together, bar 107? So I don't understand the shape. What happens on that last note you played? The orchestra comes in forte. So I think this last bar has to be opening into that forte. So you're handing over to the piano. I've done this piece a lot with orchestra without conductor. And if you breathe between the low E and the D, as you did here, however well you do the breath, there is always a little hesitation. I would suggest you breathe between the two Fs.
Okay.
So long note, ba-dum, B. It will be much more rhythmically incisive. The trouble is, if you breathe there, then the orchestra sort of starts thinking for you, is she taking time to breathe? Is she... There's always a little bit of a question mark before they go ba-da-da-dum. Okay, so that's it. I think that the organization of that bar is much easier if you breathe on the bar line rather than the middle, personally. Now, what about these long notes? Could we imagine that it's like we're playing a long note on a classical violin, when as they get to the tip, the sound gets a little bit weaker? So I think it's fine to start strong, low D, and then just a tiny bit of release at the end of the note. So don't try and connect to the low D to the F.
Okay.
Oh, don't write it in. Maybe you hate it and tomorrow you want to do something different.
Okay.
Then I feel very responsible. So let's do directly this. No, we're going to go back to one bar before C. We're going to make a strong shape in those first three bars of C, and then let's see if you can invite the orchestra into the next big tutti. Yeah? For an audition, can you play me a really crispy staccato, much more active articulation? It's getting, in a bigger dynamic, the articulation's getting a little bit lost.
Okay.
Just because you don't breathe now between the low E and the D doesn't mean you have to connect them.
Okay.
B-dum, B, but B-dum, B. The E can still be a little phrased off as if at the tip of the bow. So that felt a little awkward.
Yeah.
And I wonder, can you give me a stronger beginning to the low D?
Yeah.
Just show me that without Halka. Yeah, so great. So it's got the same sort of shape as the beginning of the F. On the F, of course, it comes very naturally and it feels great. So if you were to isolate this in your practice, then think, okay, I like the F. The F is nice. Do F a few times, then do the E one step down, and the D one step down, and then the C one step down, until you get the same kind of shape and density of the beginning of the low D. Because at the moment you're tending to think, where is it? D, and it gets a kind of, you don't mean to, but there comes a crescendo in the second half of the bar, which I'm not sure it fits. I think I'll leave you to, oh no, we do one last time from C, 103. The low D was a little bit too much out of context, so just strong but in the musical shape. You're not trying to destroy the piano. Good. As a rule of thumb, I think we mentioned it yesterday, Quantz says that when notes are close together, so the same note or just the next note of the scale, can be quite legato. On the modern flutes, and with our modern ears, I would suggest you do the opposite. Sorry, Quantz. Those are the moments when you have these scales, for example, where we start, I would love that to sound a little bit more crispy, more delicate. It sounds a tiny bit thick, and I've heard you've got an excellent staccato. So, as a general rule, the closer the notes are together, the more clean, the more crispy, and then the wider intervals don't need to be so short.
Okay.
So places like, where would be a good example of that? Bar 86, tom, bim, bom, bim, bom, bim. That doesn't need to be too short. Okay, now I would like to jump to bim, bom, 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 bom. Can you just show me the skeleton of these phrases? And D major is where the horns come in. So don't play that one softer. Okay. They'll hate you forever. And you don't want horn players to hate you.
Okay.
So I would suggest that D major is, yesterday we talked about D major is yellow, right? Who was it? Joanna you had the great D major jacket. So can we just do the shape of this? Bim, bum, 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 bum. Just the skeleton notes? So the purpose of this bar, going upwards, taking us to the new harmony. Bim, bum, 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 bum. But they don't need to be too short at the moment. We're just, one more time. So, we think on the first beat, probably this is E minor. Yes, it's E minor. Yes, it's E minor. Okay? Whoa. Something. Just that length for the moment. That shaping. Maybe. Or the other way around, I don't mind, but something needs to happen. Notes so close together, if you don't shape them, they will sound really as if you're playing very boring, and you're not. Okay. One more time from here. So, it's great, the first bar, maybe a bit too long now, the G, but bim, bum, 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 bum. Start the next crescendo from where you finished. Bum, 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 bim, pum, bum, 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 bum. Bum, bum. If you start too strong, we don't need to keep listening.
Yeah.
You know? Last time. From there. Good. D major. And relax. Great. Okay. Let's put that together. Nice. So you took us beautifully to D major, so that would be like the emotional climax of this little section. For my taste, the G major after it can be a little bit more relaxed. It's the G major concerto, so we're coming home, right? So the dominant is strong, and then we relax a little. I mean, of course, it's the same micro phrasing, but just in the big plan, the D major is more prominent than the G major. Good. Just play me this last bar. Oh, I've lost bar numbers here. 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41. Can we just do 41, going into 42, and just listening for the harmony? Just very pale, just listening to Halka's harmony. So what happens?
It goes to this small.
Relax.
Yeah.
And that will give you space to go further. Okay, good. Just one last little thing to talk about before we do a little bit of the second movement, and that's be very careful about your second beats of the bar.
Okay.
That they don't become too interesting, too active, too beautiful.
Okay.
That they don't, they shouldn't take away from the importance of the first beat of the bar. Where do I mean that? Actually, already in the theme. Dim bum 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 bidam pa. What is the chord underneath the C?
Is the same as the first one?
Yes, which is?
It's D major. I don't know. It's a D major.
D major, D major 7,
Yeah.
second bar, D major 7th chord. So the C is the 7th. So it's an important note in the chord, but in a sort of horizontal sense because it's about the harmony. So it's not dee-dum tam. It's not in that sense an important note. It's important in a dee-dum bum because it's the dominant, the 7th of the dominant. So let's just see if we can get that that a little more elegant in that bar. And we might do a little bit of second. No, we're not going to do any second subject. Just give me the very, very beginning, your first entry. So if I were to draw a shape of the C, I hear a big sort of balloon.
Okay.
Or belly or something. Come. And I think the function of it harmonically is something very horizontal. Can we? And then it's almost released when we start the 16th afterward.
Yeah.
One more. Great. And now these are close together notes, so I think this could sound really crispy. Last one. Great. And can you just give me 3 blind mice? The cadence points, 1 cadence point. Of course, we don't want to give an accent on the last B. Of course, we want to elegantly phrase off, but not dee-da. Oh, I'm already tired. It's only the first phrase. So we keep some of this maestoso character right until the end. Just give me the last dee-ba-dum. I think it's too pale, this last B.
Okay, yeah.
If you play, we were talking yesterday about if you take away from the dynamic, add vibrato or add color or something. If you're going to play this soft, then use a more compact color so that it doesn't sound as if you completely color. Yes, so we keep the essence of the maestoso in that. And it still sounds elegantly rounded off. Great. I think we're going to skip the second subject. I'm sure someone will do second subject in the next couple of days. So let's do a little bit of the second movement. wonderful playing. Very nice. Little clap. Great, you have a very elegant sound which suits this music perfectly. I wondered whether it's a little slow.
Yeah.
In the sense of a little sort of, it becomes a little sort of serious and it's just happy music. You know, there are pizzicatos in the bass line. Boom, boom, boom. So it's kind of walking music. Why does it get too slow? I think because we all want to do so much in that first half bar. Sometimes more is less, you know, or less is more. It's dom bom 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 bom. If you play this slowly, the pizzicato in the bass is going to just die between each pizzicato. So for me, anyway, it's a lot more joyful and
more easy.
More easy, yeah, that's a good word.
Okay.
Then, no, let's just start with finding a tempo where this works, because I think a lot of the little details will just fall into place when it's at a more travelling tempo.
Yeah.
Directly or upbeat is enough? Time we have the D going to G. Second time, repetition, do something. More sustained, less sustained, softer, louder, I don't care. Okay. Just not the same. You're saying something the second time. When you're saying something the second time, when you're saying something the second time, find a reason for this repetition. Now, just in the first half bar, we touched on it yesterday, I think. One chord, stepwise, step. So I'm on my tiptoes, da-dum-ba-dum-bum. And that will give you somewhere. You're playing the B so pale now, there's nowhere to sort of relax onto the tonic.
Okay.
So I would suggest however, there's not a slur, right? You don't slur, it's good. Actually, there are quite a lot of places where you're not doing the original articulation.
Some other edition.
Yes. Shall we talk about that?
No, I'll check the original.
Yeah, I mean, there are some excellent texts. There's the Henley text, the Bernreiter text, and I think we find a different meaning when we get closer to the original articulation. Now, because you're slurring so much, which is originally dia-tata, for example, it all sounds a little bit chewy, especially when it was at the slower tempo, so maybe a little faster we'll find a transparency, but anyway, that third slur in the first bar I don't think is right, because he writes it twice like that, and then only the last time, when it's together with the orchestra, he puts 3 slurs, because I think it's bowing.
Yeah.
So that's my answer to. It doesn't really matter what our answers are, as long as we think, why is it there, or why is it not there? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yum ta dim pa dum pum pum ba dum ba dum bum. Maybe you can take a little time, but not. This is going to be a dramatic second movement. Directly? So we always relax onto the tonic, right? So we've had the tension, and we're at home again. Second time. Wolfgang, tia tata.
Ah, okay.
Tia tata. No, I just said that wrong. Tia tia. Tia tia. It's 2-2. Not 4. I was half right. It's wrong, but I was wrong too. Maybe it's like mathematics. 2 wrong makes 1 right. No. Let's do the upbeat to bar 14. Can we do exactly the same place? A couple of tiny little things. For example, the second 8th note of bar 15. The tension is there. When we arrive at the A, it's a relaxed harmony. So this is a bit blurred, but the interesting part is the beginning of the first beat. So we relax. We touched on it yesterday. Just because you have the most time to get your best sound out doesn't mean that is the most shiny note. Can you just play me this? Okay, but not flat. And then you're ready to go dom, bum, bum, pi, to give direction into the next. Same place. Which was the upbeat to 14. Same there actually. The F sharp is more interesting than the G. And the D is more interesting than the E. Wait, Nika. The D is more interesting than the E. The E is an octave higher, and it's much, much longer. So that sounds very shiny. Oh, look, there's a shiny thing over there, but this is where we need to be focusing on. Just play me those 3 notes. D, C sharp, E. Good, and now I need a repeated note over the bar line. Oh God, I'm getting really fussy now, aren't I? Sorry. Upbeats, maybe with Halka, upbeat to 14. Bless you. Great. I'm going to quote Quantz again. He said, in a slow movement, ornaments should be slow. So no telephone trills. Always elegant, but much clearer phrasing. So okay, microphrasing important. So it means practicing it from the piano part. Then you know how each note fits into the harmony or doesn't. When it doesn't fit with the harmony, give it some spice, make it interesting. When it fits with the harmony, it can be paler. Okay. Take care with the longer notes that they don't dominate. That was kind of a bit of the theme yesterday, right, in my lesson. So long notes are very often the least important notes. Of course they have to be there, they have to be with a beautiful sound, but the smaller notes are where something interesting happens. And all those micro details within the clear shape. Yeah, but I think practicing, especially something like Mozart from the piano part, but actually all your repertoire from the piano part, it really will help you to shape the phrases more logically. Because you have everything, you can do everything, but it just needs a little bit clearer structuring of the story, if you like. Yeah? Okay. Thank you so much.
Thank you.